How you doing? It's Kwa here, and in this podcast, I would like to introduce you to Lisa Teh. She is based in Melbourne, and she is all about being creative, and she is also within the fashion industry. So this is the first time I'm actually interviewing someone in the fashion industry. I have no idea anything about fashion, so I'll just jumped in and just ask a whole bunch of questions. And the thing is, Lisa is, I did the interview this morning, and she's a really inspiring and heartwarming person. You can just hear in her voice that she's so passionate in what she's doing. And I know that for a fact that if you were to listen to this, you can feel the drive and the energy and the motivation to go out there and start your own business. So in this particular episode, I think it's a really good one to listen to if you think about starting your own business. And if you're interested in entering the fashion industry, perhaps, and if you have some sort of calling or some sort of creative idea that you want to express with the world, this interview will be really great for you to check out. Quick introduction is that Lisa Teh, she's the editor-in-chief of Couturing.com. It's one of Australia's top fashion, beauty, and lifestyle resources. She's also worked on a lot of campaigns and brands such as David Jones, Myer, Mecca, Cosmetica, and on and on and on. She's also appeared on Australian Fashion Week reality web series, The Frow, and she's worked with a lot of amazing people as well. So in this podcast, we delve into a lot of background on how Lisa Teh built her business, and we also cover like the mindset, the daily routines, the podcast that she's got. She's also interviewed Gary Vee as well. So this podcast is really chock-a-block. It's packed with lots of insightful ideas from Lisa Teh, and I know that you're really going to enjoy it. So without further ado, let's go have a look at Lisa Teh. Thanks.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm just working out my video. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm having this problem with my video and I thought I fixed it, but oh yes, it worked.
Awesome. Can you see yourself? You're good?
I'm like a tech guru.
You're going to post it up? Yeah, good. How are you going?
I'm good. Thank you so much as well for making the time to chat and reaching out.
No worries. Yeah, I saw what you're doing. I saw that, I think you interviewed Gary Vee, and I saw like you've been posting stuff on Instagram as well, and articles that you've appeared in as well. So so I got to get this person. So yeah.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, I'm lucky to love what I do. So I appreciate when I get to connect with people like yourself, and you've obviously got an amazing bank of content. You've interviewed some incredible people. So I feel very fortunate to be able to be on your podcast.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's a great honor to have you on the show as well. So I was looking at what you've been doing. You've been doing amazing things. You're in the fashion industry. This is my first time of interviewing someone in the fashion industry. So I don't really know too much about it. So I'm going to learn quite a lot today.
I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah. I can see that you're passionate about. So, but it never was the case, wasn't it? I think you started off working in accounting and tax, right? And then somehow,
yes.
yeah. Could you just?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, okay. So how that all happened? Like you went from tax to what you're doing now. So could you walk us through what happened?
Absolutely. So to be honest, I actually always loved fashion. I've been fascinated by the creative industry from, as long as, I can remember. And I always wanted to be a fashion designer. And I came from like a quite conservative Asian background. So my parents didn't really think that would be a safe career. Yeah. So they said, look, maybe you can look at that later on down the track, but why don't you do, quite a safe degree and then look at getting a job, in an industry where, there's plenty of jobs. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. So I ended up doing con law and I specialized in finance, which still to this day actually really surprises me because I am terrible at maths. I'm really bad at it. So I have no idea how I even passed my degree.
Me too. Yeah.
Let alone ended up in tax. So that's a whole nother, I don't know, need to investigate how that happened.
Yeah.
So I ended up working, my first job out of uni was at KPMG, and which is one of the big accounting firms. And I really have no idea how I even survived. I think I was in tax for 7 years. So after KPMG, I went to a law firm, and then I went to the tax office. So I really, throughout my whole tax career, really never felt passionate about it. And I feel like tax is a pretty stagnant industry, to be honest. Like there's not that much change happening. It's not really dynamic. The pace of the industry is quite slow. So you can be working on the same projects for 2 or 3 years. And I just didn't feel challenged, and I didn't feel that energy, you know, getting up in the morning and wanting to run to my desk and do work. And I just thought, God, like I could just spend the rest of my life doing this, or I could try and see what else is out there. So while I was at the tax office, I actually ended up taking 3 days off a week unpaid to do an internship at a marketing company.
Okay.
And like I was literally doing things like getting coffees, filling out spreadsheets, and, you know, doing pretty much like really boring admin crap. And I just thought, is this really like what it's like? But from that experience, I actually got to meet amazing people.
Yeah, how old were you at the time when you started this?
Oh, that's a really good question. Probably like my mid-20s, I would say. Yeah, mid to late 20s. So I really just wanted to see what the industry was like. And although the tasks that I was doing wasn't particularly interesting, I met some amazing people. And from there, I thought, I might start my own blog so I can talk to these people and get to know them and find out more about the industry. So I just started a blog, and then as part of that process, I met my business partner, Tom, who also had his own blog, and we shared similar frustrations about the industry. And we thought, why don't we combine our efforts and create Couturing, which is a fashion, beauty and lifestyle website. And that was probably about 8 years ago. And we just sort of started working our way through the digital landscape quite early on, before blogging was really massive in Australia. So we started growing our own platforms, creating content, meeting amazing people. And then from there, that allowed me to actually make a transition into the marketing team of Witchery. So I had zero experience, obviously, in marketing. But I remember, so when I was looking for a job to leave tax, I literally would go on Seek every single day. The only filter that I would put on would be Melbourne. And I would sift through every single job and just see if there was something that interests me or a company that would interest me. And I saw a job for Witchery pop up, and it was for a CRM manager, which is actually for someone to manage their loyalty database. And at the time, I had no idea what that job even was.
As long as it pays me, that's fine. Yeah.
Exactly. And I just saw a company that I knew the name of. I'm like, oh, I like Witchery. I like fashion. So I thought, I'm just going to give myself a go at applying. And so I spent days creating this crazy application letter. I photoshopped stuff in there. I addressed every single point that was listed in the job description. I made it like visually beautiful, and it's going to sound so lame. On the very last page, I took my Twitter, a screenshot of my Twitter, and I photoshopped in, "Thank you for taking the time to for interviewing me for the hashtag best job ever." It was just something really freaking lame. Okay. Anyway, my the person who's interviewing for the role, I got an interview, and I was like, I don't know how the hell I've got an interview for this. And she actually said to me in the interview, she goes, I did not know what to make of your application, so I just had to bring you in, because it was just so random.
Hashtag, what was the hashtag? Or was this the hashtag thanks or something? Or I think a lot of people are going to use it.
Yeah, well, actually photoshopped in this tweet that said, thank you for taking the time to, or maybe like, read my application for hashtag best job ever or something.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was really, because I was very aware. Yeah, well, I was very aware that I didn't have the right skills at all, like whatsoever. So I thought, if I'm going to even get in front of her, because I knew I was passionate about fashion, and I knew I was passionate about the industry and, you know, to some degree marketing and creating content. So I thought, if I can just get in front of her, then she's going to see how passionate I am. Yep. But then, so that was the first step to actually get me in the door. Then when I got an interview, I thought, it's going to be really difficult for me to even get considered for this role, because I have no experience in CRM whatsoever. And I've got obviously soft skills like reporting, and I've got, you know, things like, you know, presentation skills. So I've got a lot of soft skills because I've worked in corporate for a while, but I wouldn't have the skills that she would be looking for. So I thought to myself, if I'm going to stand out in this interview, I need to go in there and do something different. So I actually looked more at CRM. I did some research on the industry, and I said, okay, this is talking about how to engage your loyalty database. So that I know because I love shopping. So I know all about the tricks.
Experience.
Exactly. Yeah. So I know all about the tricks that work. So, you know, I thought, okay, I can go in there and just say, look, I have no idea what I'm talking about because I don't know the industry or, you know, the CRM landscape. Or I can go in there and say, you know, rather than talk about my past, I want to go in there and actually show you what I would do if I took on this role. Which I think a very different approach to interviews, but it really came and was born from the fact that I had no experience in the role.
Yeah.
So I actually mocked up a magazine.
Okay.
And I said to her, so I walked in, I, you know, sort of tried to set the tone for the interview as well early on, because usually they would want to control the interview and say, this is kind of the process. But I sort of took, like I went on the front foot and I really said, hey, this is, you know, rather than just talk all about my past history, I really wanted to come in here and say, this is what I would do if you gave me a chance in this position. Yeah. So I would create a magazine and say that, you know, you've got images of customers in the clothes, you'd have the latest trends, you do all this sort of stuff. And this was like quite a few years ago when I think pretty much the only brand at the time that was doing a publication was Net-a-Porter, and they've got their own digital magazine. So it was quite different at the time. And I think she really responded well to the fact that I'd already thought about what I would do and the sort of changes that I'd put in place, rather than just coming in and talking about my past, you know, my past history.
Pretty
because at the end of the day, so if you can actually go in there and say, look, I would think about making these changes based on what I can see in the landscape. I'm thinking about this. I've seen that this has worked overseas. This could really work here. Then it kind of sets you apart from everyone else coming in just talking about their past history. So I somehow got that job, which is like, to this day, I'm like, that's a miracle. But I have this weird belief that I can do anything that I want to do, and I'm not afraid to fail. And I think that's really what drives me, because I see every opportunity as a chance to learn and grow and meet new people. So I managed to get that job, and I was there for about a year. And at the time, my business partner for Cody Agency, which is my digital marketing business, Tom, he was in the marketing team at Cotton On. And we'd always sort of spoken about doing our own thing. So we thought, okay, well, why don't we just take a chance and give it a go? So we decided to try and do Couturing full time. So we both left our jobs and decided to just give it a go. And we really said to ourselves, there is no plan B. This has got to work. And I think when you don't give yourself an option and you're not sort of doing it part-time outside of hours, you can dedicate your 9 to 5 and all the other hours to making something successful. And more often than not, like, it generally will work if you're passionate, you're driven, and you're willing to make sacrifices. And look, we made no money for ages. You know, we saved up. We were like sitting in my kitchen, just working away, calling, like we would literally just go through the yellow pages and just pick out, you know, names of companies that we knew, and we'd just call up and try and find the marketing department. So we'd just go on LinkedIn and just literally Google like marketing manager Coles, and then just try and call the switchboard and be like, hi, can I speak to Sally Ann? And they'd go, does she know what it's about? I'm like, absolutely. Never heard, obviously, like, never heard of me. So it's almost like that fake it till you make it kind of mentality. But from Couturing, we had brands start to ask us to create content for their channels, not to house on our own channels. And we thought, I guess we could probably do that. And it was funny because from there, a digital marketing agency was born. And a lot of the jobs that we do for our clients now weren't even jobs when we were first starting out, like social media management, you know, things like that, influencer campaigns, like that wasn't even a thing back then. And I do really feel like, and I don't know whether this is because of just laziness or what, but I think in all the businesses that I've started, I've never really spent that long writing a business plan. You know, I think a lot of people spend ages putting together 100 page documents, forecasting everything, trying to map out a contingency plan for every possible scenario. And I just have never done that. And I'm not sure why. And I was actually reading Mark Randolph, who's the co-founder of Netflix. I was reading his book, I'm reading it at the moment, and he had this really great quote, and it was something like, a business plan never survives a collision with a real customer. And he was saying that,
cool.
yeah, and he was saying that people do, you know, business plans all the time, but then when you actually put it into practice, it's pretty much redundant, you know, and it's almost like not relevant anymore, because you have no idea how a customer's going to react, how the market's going to react, what your competitors are going to do. So it's almost like tested, you just exactly just do it, just launch it, and then test it out, and then pivot and respond and change based on that. But if you have such a rigid business plan, you're just never going to be able to cover every contingency. And I honestly feel like a lot of the time people are in the pursuit of doing the perfect business plan, and it actually stops them from even launching in the first place, because they almost talk themselves out of you know, launching something, because they go, oh, I can see a problem here, there's a potential problem here, there's a potential problem. Like, every business has potential problems, you know, a lot of them won't even arise, but the thing is, even if one does, then you just deal with it. So I do feel like there is something to be said for just not overanalyzing.
I think what you said is amazing there, because it seems that a lot of people who you know, when they start businesses, when they have a startup, you know, obviously, you know, they create this business plan and they try and come up with all these plan B's, C's and everything, right? But you seem to just execute. You have an idea and execute, right? But did you have any type of plan in terms of monetization of creating agency, or was it just go out there, make calls, and then just try and monetize? Is that it? And then just eventually just improve? That was the plan, yeah?
Pretty much. Like, we had no idea what we were doing.
Love
Still have no idea. And yeah, look, that's a good question. Like, I think you always have to have a goal of making money. Like, it's, you know, unless it's like a passion project, which, for example, my podcast is a passion project. It just gives me the chance to have conversations with amazing people. But, you know, when it comes to creating a business, I think you have to have some concept of how you believe it's going to generate money, but also just be open to the fact that that could change and that could pivot. So whether it's your service offering that changes, or, you know, how you decide to monetize it. So whether instead you create a software and then you monetize it that way, you know, based on the needs that you see in the digital market, then I really do feel like have a goal in mind, because otherwise, you know, you can't survive and you can't grow a company if it's not making money. But I think be open to what that original intention of making money, or that original process you think you're going to make money with, just be open to that changing and be adaptive and responsive. Because if you're too rigid, then you're just going to miss out on opportunities.
Okay, great. So what you've said is truly inspiring. I know a lot of people who just heard what you said, you know, they're going to run out there and you know, try and start a business and everything. But you said that you just recently that you went through a period of time that we just had no money, and it was tough, right? So what was the mindset behind handling all that frustration and challenges? How did you overcome that? Because a lot of people just, no, I can't do this. I'm going back, you know, I'm going back to tax. So how did you overcome all that stuff?
Yeah, it's actually funny. And I say this to a few people. I say that, you know, because a lot of people I've met on my journey have said that they're in corporate jobs, or they've told me that they're in corporate jobs and they hate their job and they've got a side hustle. They want to start a side hustle. And I always say to them, you know, worst case scenario, you can go back to being an accountant, or you can go back to being a lawyer, or you can go back to doing whatever you're doing. And they go, yeah. So I said, well, currently you're living your worst case scenario. So what are you doing?
I love that. That's awesome.
Get out of there. Stop it. Get out. Give it a go. Because, like, honestly, what's the worst that can happen? You know, like, as long as you're not living on the street, like, sure, like, I had no money to spend and I love shopping and that sucked.
Damn it.
But, yeah, I know. It was a really tough couple of months in my wardrobe, tough couple of years.
Damn it.
But yeah, but the funny thing is, people go, it must have been really hard to leave your secure job and start your own thing. And for me, the harder thing was actually dragging myself out of bed every morning, dragging myself to the office, and then spending the day looking at the time, waiting for 5 o'clock to kick in so I could go home. So what was actually easier for me was getting up every morning, knowing that I'm going to be doing something that I found exciting, that there was so much potential. Every little bit of energy that I was putting in, I was going to get back because it was my own business. So
Mm,
that for me was actually the easier of the two decisions. So I think I was lucky in that sense that
mm.
I really value happiness, and that's probably the biggest thing that drives me, and if you're happy, I think you can overcome a lot of things, and you don't necessarily need to be taking home 100K a year or whatever your salary is.
Mm.
Like I was taking home nothing for years, like
Wow, that's
nothing. And
incredible.
then we finally got on this tiny little salary. I was like, yay, this is
Yeah.
exciting.
Shopping.
Well, win, yeah, exactly. But I was so happy. Like I'm the happiest I've ever been in my professional career, and that would have never happened without those hard times. But I think it makes you appreciate it more when you're doing amazing things, something that you're passionate about with people that you love. Like how can that not be like living the dream,
Yeah, yeah. Um, I've interviewed like a lot of successful people, and they all say the same thing is, I mean, they've been doing these type of things for about 25 years, right? And they say that passion is everything, because with passion, like you're going to stick to it for 10, 20 years, and you're going to figure things out. But if you're just in it for the money, then you're just going to, if you come across some sort of mental challenge, then you're just going to give up and chase after something else. So would you say that passion is the main driver behind your business and everything? Yeah.
100%. Like that counts for so much more than anything else, because let me tell you, it's freaking hard, like
Mm,
running your
yeah.
own business. And I just don't feel like there's ever a point where it's easy. If you're starting out with one employee versus if you've got 100 or you've got 1,000, like there's always going to be challenges every
Mm,
step of the way. And if
yeah.
you're not passionate about what you do, there is no way you're going to be able to get through those tough times, and the
Mm,
challenging times. And there's actually probably no way you're even going to be able to put in the type of hours that you need to make your business not only successful at the start, but ongoing, like on an ongoing basis, successful.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay. All right. So then there was also another lifestyle brand that you built, which was, I think it was 101 Lifestyle as well. Could you elaborate a bit about that? I think that was prior to Cody Agency, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. What was that? What was the deal there?
Yeah. So that was actually kind of similar timing, but that just comes from that belief that I can do anything. So,
Mm,
and I don't know where that's come from, but I feel lucky to have that,
yeah.
because One on One Lifestyle is actually an oral hygiene brand. Well, it's going to be expanding into other products. So we've got a deodorant in the works, but it actually stemmed from something that I realized when I was taking photos for Instagram. So every time I would take photos in my bathroom, I would have to hide away the toothpaste and the toothbrush and the mouthwash, because if you think about it, it's all really bright, ugly stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, why is everything fluoro? It's really disgusting.
Yeah.
And so my house is black and white. So I'm like, this isn't fitting in with the branding of my house. So it sounds so stupid. But I'm looking at it twice a day using it. I'm like, this is bad. Like, this looks so ugly. So I thought, why not just create a brand and a product as you do. So with literally no experience, my husband Saul and I decided to just give it a crack, and we made so many mistakes like along the way. It took us about 3 years to get a product on shelf, which is really slow. But along the way, I've met some amazing people who've given me so much insight into the industry. And I do feel like as a business owner, you need to surround yourself with other business owners, because
Mm,
they're going to really understand the challenges. They'll understand the little wins, and they'll appreciate the little wins, because I would say that the average person who doesn't run a business like won't necessarily comprehend the challenges and the struggles and how
mm,
difficult it is,
mm.
because it's really hard. I'm not going to
Yeah,
lie.
yeah.
It's very rewarding, but it is difficult. So on my journey, I've actually met a lot of amazing business people. And I do find that those are the people that I've built great relationships with, because I can talk to them on a daily basis and flick them a message and say, hey, how's this? And what did you do when you came across this issue? And
Mm,
those people will, like, they're worth their weight in gold. If you can if you can create a good network around you with amazing people who can understand the challenges that you're going through and give you great advice, then
mm,
I have no doubt, like, you have a greater chance of succeeding running your own business.
mm.
So we somehow got into Mecca, which is bloody incredible. And I still can't believe that, to be honest. Like, it still seems
Yeah.
like a dream.
Yeah, you got some great brands, yeah, on your name as well. David Jones, Myer, Mecca. Yeah, it's incredible. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Yeah, so for our one-on-one lifestyle product, we are exclusively in Mecca. And for me, that was crazy, you know, and I think a lot of people want to know what beauty brands look for when they're buying products. And, you know, I know that in this day and age of Instagram and things like that, appearance is so important. So I think that, but that's only one aspect of a brand. Like, it has to look good, because at the end of the day, you're going to be trying to be on the shelf and stand out against not only brands that look cool, but brands that people know. So why would they reach for your brand versus another brand? So we found that there was a gap in the market for a beautifully designed like oral hygiene range that would stand out, because there wasn't really that much competition in the space. And to be honest, there still isn't really that much competition, because, you know, let's face it, toothpaste and toothbrushes aren't really sexy. Like, it's not like people are clamoring to, you know, make sexy toothpaste and sexy mouthwash. But, you know, everyone's really in that skincare space and the makeup space. So in a way, like, although there are some giant brands in our industry, or, you know, like you've got Colgate, McLean's, you've got big brands, like they're not doing, like their brand isn't what we're doing. So we did feel like there was a gap in the market and an opportunity for us to create something. And to be honest, like that was just really a passion project for me, and it taught me so much about the industry, creating products. And so when I work with beauty brands for Coty, I can give them so much advice now. So I know what beauty brands are looking for if they're going to buy things. I know what you know, what marketing plan you should put in place if you're looking to approach a retailer. So for me, it's actually just taught me a lot, so I can help our clients. And that's really where I feel like we're really different as an agency. Like, we don't just do the work that we've been engaged to. Like, we love strategy and we think outside the square. We're sort of thinking not just in the immediate future, but where do you actually want to take your brand? Like, how are we going to help you get there? And we always give our clients like strategy advice. Like, you know, we don't charge them for it, because at the end of the day, if they're successful, then we're successful. So I think it's like I owe it to our clients to go above and beyond to help them. And that's like a real part of our culture at Coty. We really always go above and beyond for our clients. And I feel like, you know, a lot of agencies don't really do that. They just literally do what they're asked to do, and that's it.
And that's it. Yeah, you've got that creative flair behind you as well. And yeah, I just love it how you said just then that you wanted to create a brand, you had no experience how to do it, but you just went into it. It's like, it reminds me of what I think Elon Musk did the same thing. He's not an aerospace engineer, but now he's launching rockets into space and stuff. It's just crazy, you know. And like you're just yeah. So, oh my god,
100%. And the thing is, like, I don't have to know how to do it. I just have to know how to get that knowledge from someone else, or find those people who will know how to do it. And then so we've got a formulator on board, so we work with them to brief, you know, give them a brief on the sort of formulators we wanted. We wanted a brand that was natural after we started realizing there were so many chemicals. So like, I did my own research, absolutely. But at the same time, you don't need to be an expert in anything. Like, I can guarantee that Elon Musk isn't building those rockets, you know?
Yeah.
But he's found the people who can and partnered up with them. So, and I look at our team, for example, and they are freaking incredible at what they do. There's no way I could do half the things that they do, but I don't need to, because that's their skills and that's what they're amazing at. So I do believe if you just find people who have the right skills and passion, like honestly, it's like if you find people who are passionate, show initiative, are hungry to learn, then you can kind of teach everything else. But if you have that kind of energy, then I feel like you'll be successful.
That's awesome. Okay, so have a look at also in regards to Couturing. How did you did you just write like 1 or 2 articles per week and you know, add the typical pictures and videos? Like, how did you grow up? What was your content strategy behind that one there?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have an amazing team of people. So we actually got a whole lot of people on board to help us create content, because in the digital space, if you think about it, well, just for human nature, people are looking for content not only once a day, but multiple times a day. So think about how much you're picking up your phone and you're, you know, looking at the news or looking at your news feed on social. Like, people are hungry for content. So we thought at a minimum, we need to be having at least one fashion, one beauty, one lifestyle article going out a day. So we were quite aggressive with growing. Yeah, with growth, because people want that. Like, think about how often they go onto a news website. So, you know, and you've got news websites out there who are uploading content all the time. Like, you know, every couple of hours there'll be something new, because we're so hungry for content.
Exactly.
So that's like, we have an amazing team, and like that's really how we were able to grow so quickly at the start, because a lot of people were personal style bloggers at the time when we were starting out, and they just didn't have the resources to actually produce that much content, you know. And a lot of the time they were taking photos of their outfits, and that's the sort of content that they were producing, but that didn't really interest Tom and myself. We really wanted to do our own photo shoots and tell the stories of the people behind the industry. So we really wanted to do interviews with amazing people and find out how they got to where they are, and that was something that I was really passionate about. So actually, it's so funny because when we first started that site, we had no idea where it would even take us. We just thought, let's just do it and see what happens. And from that, we actually got to write 2 books. So we wrote a book on Australian style and Australian beauty. So they got published in 2017 and I think 2018. And then we got to go to a tech conference in China. We got to interview people all around the world, interview celebrities, meet incredible people, shoot with incredible people. So it's so funny. Like when you start something, sometimes you have no idea where it's going to take you. But like if you don't start something, like you just won't even put yourself in a position to have those incredible opportunities and meet those incredible people, or, you know, do incredible things. So I think a lot of the time, just start something and then just be open to where it could take you. Because I pretty much look back at starting, I always think about the moment where I started my first blog in my room. And that for me was such a huge turning point. And I always think back going, I had absolutely no idea. Like if someone told me at that moment that from starting this, you'll meet your business partner, you'll publish 2 books, you'll start a podcast, you'll get to talk to this person, interview this person, you'll start a digital marketing
There's no way
agency.
you'll believe it.
Hell no. The little me would have been like, whatever, like, no way. So, and I'm sure that a lot of business owners have the exact same story. Like they've just started something that might have seemed tiny and then just into something they could have probably not even imagined.
That's so cool. It seems like you figured out the winning formula. I have no idea, but I'm just going to launch it anyway.
Yeah, it's probably just really being quite naive.
I'm gonna write that down. You must be naive, okay, when you're starting stuff. It may actually take work, you know.
Ignorance is bliss, because I think if you almost overanalyze too much, then you'll just freak yourself out, because you go, this could go wrong, this could go wrong. Yeah, absolutely. Like all those things could go wrong, but then all of these other things could go right, and you'll never know unless you actually just go and give it a go.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so speaking of content, so you're putting out great content there. So I had a look at your Instagram. You've got a great huge number of followings as well. You're putting great content as well. Like I can see the pictures and everything. I think you've got about 50,000 followers at the moment. And over the weekend you posted a great photo of, I think it was Nutella, some sort of food that
Nutella crumpet.
Yeah, it looks really good. So how did you build it? How did you build up your Instagram following? Like, do you have a strategy behind that one, or just
I think I was actually lucky. Like I was lucky at the time because I've been using Instagram for quite a number of years. So I really got to take advantage of that organic reach. For Instagram, it's really about just regular content, I would say. So I was posting at one stage, and I've tested different things over the years, but I was posting most likely, I think once a day, for for a long time, just to build up the audience. And that, I think it's quite challenging, because I do find Instagram now, it's a lot harder to grow. So the glory days of Instagram and that organic growth is pretty much gone, unless something happens to go viral. But I would say regular content is key. Also being authentic, although I do find that Instagram is very filtered. So I think as a celebrity, you can be a lot more authentic because people are following you for your personality and, your insights. But as say like an everyday consumer, your content actually has to be quite beautiful and quite heavily produced. So I've been actually doing a lot more content on LinkedIn, and I literally just get into the office before work, set up my phone. I definitely need a beauty ring light because I'm getting older. Gotta hide all those wrinkles. And then I just record and then post it. So I feel like that that content on LinkedIn doesn't have to be so produced. But I think the challenge for people is finding not only the time to produce content, but think about what sort of content you need to produce. And I look at someone like Gary Vee, and he was saying that no matter what business you're doing, it could be selling toothbrushes, selling digital marketing, you know, being a dentist. Like, you are actually a content producer, because that's how people find you, whether it's through blog, social, you know, advertising in brochures. Like, that's actually all content that you're producing. So you have to think of yourself as like a content producer no matter what you're doing, because how otherwise do you communicate what you do? And he's like a classic example of someone who, like, he's a content machine, like producing, I think, like 100 pieces of content a day. And obviously he has a team, but he understands the importance of it across multi-channels. So it's not even just he's posting on Instagram, he's on TikTok, he's on Facebook, he's on LinkedIn, he's on literally every social platform that you can, because he's reaching different people and in different styles as well. So I think you do have to find a style that will work for you. And like, I'm lucky because I find video pretty easy. Like, I'm an introvert, but I just set up my camera and my phone. I literally just record on that. So it's not like I'm talking to 100 people, but I feel like people can almost psych themselves out of creating content, because and I was talking to someone actually on Friday, and they were saying, I don't feel like I'm at a position, because I was talking about creating content for LinkedIn, and he was saying, I don't feel like I'm not the founder of a business. I'm not, yeah. Well, also he was saying, like, he doesn't feel like he's got credibility. And I said, but you still have knowledge that you can share. So whether it's like a tip that you picked up from, you know, hearing an interview with Elon Musk, or, you know, listening to something that Gary Vee said, just sharing that knowledge, like, you'll find people who resonate with you, because there'll be someone who's in the same position as you in another business. And they'll go, oh, I'm going up, you know, or maybe even, you know, wanting to get into the role that you're in, and they'll resonate with you, because someone that resonates with him might not resonate with me. So they might go to him, look at him and go, oh yeah, I love the way he's communicating and telling me his message, because it might be the way he talks on video or the way he writes. So I think there's always going to be someone out there who could benefit from the knowledge that you're obtaining. So I always feel like, when I first started posting a lot on LinkedIn, I thought, is anyone even going to watch this? I'd be really happy if I got one like that wasn't from a person related to me or a friend. And because I only started posting on LinkedIn quite consistently about 2 months ago. And now I post every day, Monday to Friday. And it's been amazing, because as you might know, with LinkedIn, the organic reach is still there. And I say to my clients,
it's pretty powerful.
It's amazing. And I say to my clients, you've got probably, you know, 6 to 12 months to make the most of the organic reach. So like, we help our clients create content for LinkedIn, manage their posting, because a lot of them are business owners and they're freaking busy. Like, they don't have time to be getting up every morning thinking about content to post. So we help them with that. So I've met some incredible people on LinkedIn, and it's great for lead generation. Like, I had a call with someone from Silicon Valley last week, and I never would have thought, like, how on earth would I have even reached out to someone like that?
Wow.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, 6 degrees of separation.
I know, it's actually incredible, because he goes, oh, it's something that you posted about, a quote from Mark Randolph, that Netflix co-founder, popped up in my feed, and then he just reached out to me, and then we organized a call, and we might be doing some work together. So I just sort of think, if you put yourself out there, and, you know, it's hard at the start, but I think just realize that most people are actually, like, yeah, there are trolls out there, absolutely, but most people don't want you to not succeed. So they're going to be wanting to come from a place of support. So they'll give you a like, or they'll give you a comment, and then you find those people that, you know, can be part of your LinkedIn community, for example, and you can regularly engage with them and support them, tag them, comment on their posts, like their posts. And I do feel like, on the whole, people are really good, you know, like, I don't think that people are intentionally wanting you to fail, or will mock you if you happen to stutter in a video. So I think people overanalyze and want everything to be perfect, but in reality, like, it doesn't need to be. You just have to keep producing content.
And it makes you unique, isn't it? I think I was watching a video by I think you probably heard of him, but Dan Lok. This is a Hong Kong guy. He's you know, he's got a really strong accent, but he's got a huge following, and he says that his accent is what makes him unique. And and I think, a lot of people might think, oh, you know, his accent, you should improve it, but you don't. You just keep who you are, and then people, you know, that's how people identify you, is through your accent. Even though you might sound funny, but that's how, you know, people appreciate about you. So
absolutely. And if you're authentic, just who you are, people resonate with that. And since I actually started posting videos, like, I went to a talk last week, and a couple of people actually came up to me and said, oh, I've been watching your videos on LinkedIn, thanks for sharing them. I'm just like, oh my God, it's so weird to think that people are even watching, you know, and I don't even have a big following, but to see that now that even just my own personal brand, like I'm building that in the business space, I think, wow, it's so powerful, because I literally just started 2 months ago. So there's, you know, it's not too late to start now, because you can quickly grow a following if you just keep producing content and have interesting things to say, talk to interesting people. Like I'm really lucky to get access to some incredible people and some incredible minds, but a lot of them, like I literally have just slid into their DMs. So I've not, you know, I've not.
Like, Instagram DMs and stuff. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. There you
Honestly,
go.
Like,
that's how I get a lot of people as well. just send a text.
It's so surprising. And some people go, but what if they don't reply? Who cares?
Who cares?
Like,
didn't cost me anything.
Oh my God, there are so many people where it's like seen and there's been no response. I'm like, oh, well, it's not personal. Like they don't even know who I am. So, you know, I've got no shame. I'm just like, hi, just following up on the below if I can see they've seen. But I think it's just having no shame, because to be honest, like I think it's a little bit of a numbers game. So you might reach out to 10 people and one person might reply, but that one person could change your life. So I do feel like don't let that ego get in the way and that fear of people not responding to you get in the way, because they might, it's nothing personal if they don't respond. They could just go, oh, it's not an opportunity I'm looking for at the moment, or I'm too busy to respond, or whatever the excuse is. But
they've
rarely
got their own things they're doing. So they're so
100%. Exactly. So it's rarely going to be personal, because at the end they don't know you. You're just the person that's you know, emailed them or messaged them on a social media platform. So I would 100% say just do it and not worry about it.
Yeah. So speaking of your podcast, In Conversation with Creatives, I saw your video with Gary Vee, and it was pretty interesting. Like you had the whole cakes on the table, and I was thinking, wow, it's really impressive. Who interviews someone with cakes and stuff? So I was like, well, that's cool. But how did you do it? How did you get Gary Vee, and what was it like interviewing him as well?
So that was another person that I messaged.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, believe it or not. And then I started talking to his person who was coming to Australia with him, and then we locked in a time, and I have been listening to his content for a few years, and to be honest, I didn't actually like his style originally because I found it quite American and aggressive. But then I started seeing his written content pop up more on LinkedIn. I'm like, this guy actually has some interesting things to say. So I got the chance to interview him, and I had no idea how it was going to go, but I thought he would be doing interviews all the time with lots of different people, and I wanted to do something a little bit different because he seems like someone who is fun, interesting, and likes to have a bit of a laugh. So I thought, why not make an Australian-inspired smoothie with lots of different Australian-inspired foods in it? And I got like burger rings, King Island dairy cheese, Tim Tams.
Oh, see, what's going on here? There's all this stuff there. Like you're selling like candy to them or something. So that's cool.
Yeah, it didn't taste good. Chocolate Big M, Twisties, or like, or, you know, whatever was Australian. I could get my hands on Vegemite. It was disgusting. But I thought this would at least add a different layer. And I think that's where my mind, like I really think in content. And I think that's so important in this day and age. Like I see every opportunity as a content opportunity. Even if I go out for breakfast, I'm like, will this place be Instagrammable? Like, you know, that's the level of, like it's actually so funny. Like people, you know, don't realize, I think, the level that some people think about content. Like I'll even think about my outfits, and say if I go and do a photo shoot for an outfit for Instagram, I'll bring 4 outfits and I'll be getting changed in my car because I'm like, I don't have time to go and shoot a million outfits, so I just go and shoot 4 outfits at a time. So you have to just get efficient in the way you think of creating content. So I thought I could just sit here and talk to him, but I would much rather be doing an activity, doing something fun, and then we skull it at the end. And it was actually really good. Like after we did the thing, he did like some social around it, and I thought because people want content, and I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like they want content to share. So I thought, why not give him something to actually share that's interesting? So if you can give people a reason to share your content, then they will. So make it as interesting as you can. But also I think if you think in content, it makes it easier to create content. So I always say this to my clients. I think if you have given some advice to someone, and you think it's helped them, most likely it's going to help a lot of other people. So share that on LinkedIn. If you have received some advice that's helped you, share that on LinkedIn. That's probably going to help someone else. So if you start to change your mindset and think in content, then you can see so many opportunities in your day-to-day life. And I think a lot of us just think, oh, this is just my day-to-day life. Like no one's going to be interested in this. But so many people are, because they're probably, a lot of them are sitting in their boring corporate jobs. Like the fact that you're sitting here in the morning and this is like part of your job, like you're interviewing someone, like that's living the dream for a lot of people. Because I can tell you right now, if I was however many years ago, I would have been trying to do a bloody tax audit or something boring like that, or doing a deep dive into some documents. So I do really feel like it's changing your mindset, and then you just literally, it's kind of like the Matrix where you could just see like content everywhere.
You see some amazing stuff online, eh? Like I saw this one girl, all she was doing was just showing how she films her her content, how she creates vlogs and stuff, and she was showing the camera, and and it was just a film of like making a cup of coffee, just things like that. You're really creative. And I thought that your interview with Gary Vee was incredible. I love the question that you asked him as well. I was like, so you're pretty good with social media, huh? Or something like that. So I was thinking, wow, that's a really good question.
I was literally like, it's really difficult to, I think, ask, like when you have someone like that who's been asked every question under the sun, you want to make sure that you take the time to really research. Like I listen, when I interview people, I pretty much just become like the FBI and do a deep dive into their life. And I read as many interviews as I can with them. I listen to podcast interviews with them, and I find out what they seem to be passionate about talking about, but try and ask different questions. I don't want to be asking them the same question, because they would get asked, he'd be asked the same thing all the time. And I think there's some element that you need to cover the main things that your listeners might want to hear, but at the same time, how are you going to make yours different, And even, I guess, as someone who gets interviewed, I always try and think, how can I add value to my interviews? Like I never want to just be saying the same things. And obviously there are some elements to my interviews which will be similar, in the sense that like I've got my story of how I got to where I am, and that's going to be, somewhat similar. But at the same time, I think along the way, there are so many lessons I've had. I should focus on each of those differently and share them, because then someone can listen to my interview on, one platform and still listen to my interview on another platform and get some new information and get something new from it. So I actually heard this podcast that said that every time you do an interview, you should make it 20% different. And then to make it 20% different again, it just keeps changing. So I think if she was saying like, it's impossible to make it like 100% different. Like your story is still your story, but if you can constantly be adding value, then people will keep wanting to listen to you.
Yeah. It's all about finding like little edges to keep improving, isn't it? Trying to perfect the interview, trying to perfect the podcast and the content. So yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Okay. How about some of the best skills that you've learnt that's been the most helpful in your life? What skills did you pick up that you would consider really helpful in your life?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say learning to read people definitely helps. So my role for Coty Agency is I do business development. So pretty much my day is just spent in meetings. So I get to meet amazing people, hear about their business, and then work out how we can help them. So I think it's just developing that skill over time, and that's really allowed me to understand and listen and look for opportunities where I believe we can help as an agency. It's kind of funny, like with skills, I do feel like, and I was talking to someone about this last week, I feel like you can pretty much be taught most things. So when I think about skills, I think actually more about personality traits. So like, I've got basic skills, like I can present, I can do a proposal, I can write a report, I can analyze data, I can do all those things, but I honestly don't feel like that's what has made me, or that hasn't helped necessarily get me, well, that's not the biggest driving force to get me where I am today. What is more the personality traits that I think I'm lucky enough to have. So I'm hungry to learn all the time. Like I love learning. And you know, if we're looking for someone to join our team, like that's one of the key things I would look for. Like, are you hungry to learn? Do you want to constantly be challenging yourself and driven to always be the best you can be? Like, I think that is more like a trait that I have that's allowed me to get to where I am.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm successful, but it's allowed me to at least help, or it's allowed me to grow and do the things that I've done today. Things like not being afraid to fail. Like, I think those sort of traits and those sort of mindsets are going to help you succeed more than any sort of skills, because I feel like you can kind of learn any skill, but like those sort of things, like you can't teach. It's like you just have to have that mindset, or at least if you're not born with that mindset, see if you can change your mindset and actually be someone who is not afraid to fail, if you can, you know, someone who is hungry, someone who'll take and show initiative. Like I hate micromanaging. Like, I am not a micromanager.
You got to empower people, man. Like, you got to like get people to, you know, take ownership. When they take ownership of the task, then you got to get out of the way, and then they'll just like, you'll do an incredible job.
Absolutely. Micromanaging. Absolutely. Micromanaging literally helps no one. You know, it doesn't help. Yes, exactly. Like, it's not good for the person who's micromanaging and the person who's being micromanaged. So as a result, I think initiative is fantastic. If you can show initiative as a business owner or as an employee, like that's going to get you far, because then you don't need to be micromanaged. Like, I don't want to sit there. I don't have the time to sit there and watch over your shoulder while you do tasks. And I'm lucky because I've got an amazing team who just run with things. You know, if they don't know how to do something, they just work it out. You know, because most of the time, if they don't know how to do it, I probably won't know how to do it. So if they come and ask me, I was like, I don't know how to do it. And we can sit there and try and work it out together. Or if you just work it out, it's even better. So, so I would say, you know, I think it's more personality traits that have really helped me get to where I am that I would say are probably more valuable than any sort of soft skill or technical skill that I know, because
that's a valuable skill. Like, you're good with people. You can read people, body language as well. Like, you're pretty good with body language.
As it was funny, I was talking about this exact topic last week, and I said I watch a lot of crime shows, and I learned so much.
Figure out. That's a murder right there.
I was like, seriously. Like, there are things like if you yawn in front of someone and they don't yawn back, they could be a sociopath or a psychopath, because they don't have empathy for body language. But it's funny because once you start reading into body language,
so
you can really notice so many things. Like, you know, I pick up all the time that I'm mirroring someone's body language, or someone's mirroring my body language, and that's like a human reaction to make people feel more comfortable, or show people that you're engaged with what they're saying. Because you can see when someone's not engaged with you, because they're leaning back, they're like looking away, like they're not
phone and stuff, and
so I think just understanding humans and what they want, like, it's so crucial for the role that I have anyway at the moment, like in business development. So I think that's probably like the biggest sort of skill that I've developed over the years. And you know, I think it just helps if you're passionate about what if you're selling, then it just helps if you're passionate about what you're selling. And that's not necessarily a skill. It's just like, if you've got to put yourself in a position where you're selling something that you actually genuinely believe in.
Definitely. Okay, so one last question is, let's say that you were to go into a time machine, you press a button and go back 10, maybe 20 years and talk to your younger self. I'm not sure. I think you're pretty young anyway.
Oh my God. I'm not going to tell you how old I am.
No, I won't put you there. So, okay, how about just 10 years, okay? Go back 10 years, talk to your younger self. What would you say?
That's a really good question. I would say to her, just hang in there. Keep doing what you're doing. And trust the universe. Just be as good of a person as you can be, and good things will happen.
That's beautiful.
I actually do believe in the universe. Like, I do believe that if you can just be a good person and, you know, just try and just do the best you can, then the universe just rewards you. It just has this funny way of working out. Like, it's brought amazing people into my life, and I just think, wow, how did we even cross paths? And I just feel super freaking lucky to have met some amazing people. And I do believe, you know, the universe just brings in the right people at the right time that you need them, and the right opportunities at the right time. So I do just trust the universe. It's got your back.
It's got your back. Oh, I love it. That's beautiful. Okay, so how do people get in contact with you?
That's a great question. So you can reach me on LinkedIn. So you can shoot me a message or shoot me a message on Instagram, or you can email me at lisa@Cody Agency, which is CODI agency.com.au. And I always welcome any sort of feedback, comments, questions. Like, I really feel lucky to be in an industry where I've met so many amazing people who have given so much time and knowledge to me, and I want to give back to anyone who needs help, or who has a question, or who just even needs like a motivational talk. Like, I'm always here for those. But you know, I feel very fortunate that I've been welcome into an industry that I never really thought I would be a part of. So I want to make sure that I can give back as much as I can.
That's awesome. Well, Lisa, I really appreciate your time. It's a true honor to interview you, and yeah, you shared some really amazing wisdom from, you know, how you started Cody Agency, the fashion industry, something I have no idea in. Yeah, thank you for sharing about your mindset as well, and your drive and your passion. I can sense it in how you talk as well. And I also wish you all the best for future endeavors. And I know that you're going to be out there and conquering the world in no time. And yeah, lots more cakes in your interviews as well. And yeah, all the best for future endeavors. So thank you very much. Awesome.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it's going to be
Thank you
great.
for the opportunity. You were great.
No problems. Oh, no worries. It's always great to talk to another podcaster as well. So you don't have to, guide them or anything like that. You already know what you're doing. So it's good.
I know, it's so funny because in my head I'm like, oh, I stuffed up there. Should I pause there so they can edit that out easier?
No, it's perfect. It's great. Yeah, awesome.
It actually changes the way you talk, and I think get interviewed when you've done it yourself.
Yeah. So how's it feel to be? Oh, you've already done a lot of interviews anyway. I think I heard like other podcasts with other people, and yeah, it's really.
Yeah, I actually love it. Like,
yeah.
I feel really fortunate to be able to get to talk to someone like yourself, and you were so well researched. Like, you had all your research done, so it just makes my job a lot easier. So thank you so much for even spreading the inspiration and knowledge that you've done, and I think keep doing it. You've done an incredible job, and I have no doubt that there'll be so many people out there benefiting from everything that you're doing.
Great. Thank you very much. Awesome.
Thanks.
Cool.